Sometimes a wrestler will get a new character in the hopes that it will take them to the next level. Sometimes that happens, but what happens when it doesn't? Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at repackaged wrestlers who reverted to their original character. Before we get into that, we'd like to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Raid Shadow Legends is a visually stunning fantasy RPG where you battle your way through a dangerous realm with hundreds of champions from 16 playable factions. To save the world of Teleria, you will recruit its most legendary warriors from the forces of light and darkness, training these champions to fight together, molding them into living weapons and assembling the most epic raiding parties ever seen. Your path to victory will see you defeat dozens of boss battles, slay dragons and crush opponents in the PvP arena. This innovative game features deep tactical play and an online community where you'll join forces with thousands of fellow players in cooperative clan challenges as you slay demons for epic loot, rare champions and more. Assemble balanced teams of sorcerers, skinwalkers, undead, knights, elves and even more to defeat your enemies, then recruit them to your side. Raid is a mobile experience that looks and feels like a console RPG, but to become a legend, you must do more than simply become a hero. You must lead. Download Raid only through my link to get 50,000 silver immediately. Links in the description below. Number 1. Goldust. Dustin Rhodes may have had big boots to fill, being the son of a plumber, the American dream Dusty Rhodes, but Dustin worked hard to establish his own identity, finding success in WCW before transforming into the bizarre one Goldust in the WWF. His edgy character drew controversy, but it also drew cash, so it was no surprise that other promotions wanted in on the action. Unfortunately, Dustin's work in WCW S7, a short-lived experiment with Rhodes donning white face paint, fizzled as corporate executives feared he looked like a child abductor, or worse depending on how you viewed the creepy vignettes he appeared in. Dustin has bounced back and forth between the WWE, inevitably returning to the Goldust character. A later run in TNA featured Dustin adopting a gimmick of wrestler Black Rain, a wrestler with a split personality who alternated between Dustin and Black Rain. The character proved to be a dud, but it reflected Dustin's troubled life at the time, as he carried excess weight in the ring and, far worse, battled personal demons. In his book, Crossroads: Goldust Out of the Darkness, he discussed his substance abuse battles while working in TNA. It was a slow process for me to get into the day. I'd get that first rush from pills and then I'd get moving. I might do something around the house or jump into my truck and drive to the river to work on this book. I was probably close to taking 40 pills a day at the end. I was so desperate that I actually bought pain pills from drug dealers because I would run out long before I could find another doctor to write a prescription. If I dropped a pill and it fell into the carpet, I would spend hours on my hands and knees trying to find it. At the same time, I was drinking so much I'd wake up dizzy and unable to walk. Finally, after a 3-day binge, I'd had enough. It was raining. I pulled myself up and walked right out the door. The rain was pouring down and I stumbled up a hill near this house where I knew I could get cell phone reception. Thankfully, Rhodes would take up the WWE on their offer of free substance abuse treatment for any former talent. While Rhodes has worked in other promotions and the indie circuit, his home is the WWE and he's returned to the identity he's best known for, the bizarre one Goldust. Number 2. Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan's babyface run in WCW began to lose steam, the man who helped build the WWF into a national promotion with his babyface act found himself facing boos from the same WCW fans who once cheered him. When Hogan was offered the role as the outsider's third man at their main event battle against WCW's best during Bash at the Beach, Hogan was reluctant but eventually gambled everything by playing a heel for the first time in over a decade. In one of wrestling's biggest career makeovers, the heel act worked greater than anyone could have imagined, transforming the New World Order into wrestling's hottest act. Despite NWO being recycled to death in WCW, Vince McMahon saw some value in the original combination of Scott Hall, Kevin Nash and Hollywood Hulk Hogan, bringing the trio in for a program with the WWE in 2002. However, WWE fans hadn't seen Hogan since 1993 and were unwilling to boo him, heel or no heel. The Hollywood Hulk Hogan act was tweaked into a babyface character, but the Hulkster eventually reverted to the name he was best known for in the WWE, the Hulkster. Number 3. Primo Epico. One of the WWE's many talented tag teams, Primo and Epico Cologne, began working in the WWE alongside Rosa Mendez, finding tag team gold with the WWE Tag Team Championship in early 2012, barely 2 months since teaming together in the WWE. The team's fortunes faded as 2012 progressed, with a losing streak becoming their best-known accomplishment. In summer of 2013, Primo and Epico donned masks, becoming Los Matadors, a team accompanied by their mascot El Torito. Los Matadors disappeared from WWE TV, but in 2016, Primo and Epico returned, working as the Shining Stars, a heel team boasting about their Puerto Rican heritage. Despite considerable in-ring talent, neither Los Matadors nor the Shining Stars seemed to get over, and in 2018, the WWE reverted them back to being the Colognes. Number 4. Chavo Guerrero. A member of wrestling's legendary Guerrero dynasty, third-generation wrestler Chavo Guerrero Jr. enjoyed success both as a cruiserweight competitor and alongside his uncle Eddie Guerrero as Los Guerreros, a successful tag team during the Ruthless Aggression era. And then came Kerwin White, a character that saw Guerrero denounce his Mexican heritage to play a bleach blonde wrestler who strove to live the Anglo-American way. Chavo worked the gimmick through the summer of 2005 until Eddie Guerrero's tragic passing in November 2005, at which point he reverted to his Chavo Guerrero identity. In 2017, Chavo appeared on the World According to Wrestling podcast to discuss the controversial character. Everything you see in wrestling, it's not really coming from the wrestlers, it's coming from the writers. So the story with the Kerwin White character is me coming off a plane from Japan and Vince McMahon coming up to me and saying, "Hello Kerwin," and I said, "Oh, what does that mean?" "Well, today you're going to denounce your Mexican heritage and you're going to become a white guy. So you've got two things, you can either say no and get fired, or you can say good, let's embrace this character and really do it." If it was up to any one of us, we'd all be John Cena or Batista and destroy everybody and being the champ. But it's not. It's up to Vince McMahon and there can only be one champ. With everyone else, you have to make lemonade out of lemons. And TV is the same thing. You have Alison Brie, Mark Maron, and stars of Glow. Everyone wants to be the star and not the co-star, but there's only room for a couple of stars. And every federation you go to is the same thing. You just do what you gotta do with your character. Number 5. Booker T. Like Chavo Guerrero Jr., Booker Huffman is no stranger to racist gimmicks, with he and real-life brother Stevie Ray Huffman at one point repeatedly slated to debut in WCW as members of a prison chain gang won by Colonel Robert Parker in a card game. Thankfully, the gimmick never saw the light of day and the Huffman brothers excelled as Harlem Heat, winning the WCW World Tag Team Championship 10 times. Booker T's singles career blossomed in WCW, with him winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 5 times. However, during his WCW run, Booker had the misfortune of being booked by Vince Russo, resulting in Booker ditching his Booker T character and becoming G.I. Bro, a member of wrestling's Misfits in Action faction. Booker had worked as G.I. Bro in his early years as a wrestler, and somehow Russo thought it would be a good idea to revisit the gimmick. Booker eventually returned to working as Booker T, joining the WWF during the Invasion angle of 2001. Booker's talent saw him signed to continue working in the WWE, eventually becoming the heel King Booker, accompanied by real-life wife Queen Sharmell. Booker left the WWE for TNA, working there as Booker T and continuing to use the name when he returned to the WWE in 2011. Booker was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame alongside Stevie Ray for their run as Harlem Heat, making him one of a handful of superstars to be inducted more than once. Number 6. Mike Awesome. Wrestler Michael Alfonso debuted in 1989 before honing his skills in Japan, working in frontier martial arts wrestling under the name Gladiator, rapidly rising to the main event there. He eventually showed up in ECW as Mike Awesome, working a well-received program with Masato Tanaka. His 1999 return to ECW saw him winning the ECW World Heavyweight Championship at Anarchy Rules, but the real anarchy lied ahead. WCW's Eric Bischoff brought the ECW champion to Nitro with the ECW belt, incurring Paul Heyman's fury since Heyman claimed Awesome was signed to ECW at the time. According to the book The Death of WCW, WCW paid a 6-figure settlement to get Awesome out of his contract, and per the terms of the deal, he was allowed to go back to ECW to lose the belt. In In true WCW form for the time, Awesome was packaged with not one but two terrible gimmicks. The first being the fat chick Thriller, a wrestler with a fondness for plus-size girls, and the second being that 70s guy, an attempt to cash in on one of the popularity of Fox's sitcom That 70s Show. Both gimmicks flopped and the talented Awesome returned to working as Mike Awesome, joining the 2001 Invasion angle in the WWF. Awesome retired from wrestling in 2006 and worked as a real estate agent before passing away in 2007 at the age of 42. Number 7. The Undertaker. Like several of the wrestlers on our list, Mark Calaway worked several gimmicks before finding lasting success with one character, in his case, The Undertaker, a seemingly supernatural opponent incapable of feeling pain, but capable of inflicting much pain on opponents. The Undertaker shot to the main event in WWF, but in 2000 he transformed into the hard-edged biker nicknamed the American Badass, and later Big Evil. The character was a fresh take on The Undertaker, keeping his tough-as-nails character, but abandoning the supernatural elements. Wrestling lore has it that Kevin Nash wanted to bring Calaway in, but knew he couldn't work his dead man gimmick, instead coming up with the badass biker gimmick. However, during an episode of his podcast 83 Weeks, Eric Bischoff discussed how difficult it would have been bringing in Calaway to WCW. I don't know, he wouldn't have been The Undertaker, and that's the biggest challenge right there, because you're spending so much money for a character that you can't have. So knowing that he wouldn't have been anything close to The Undertaker as a character, how could we have used him? I was never a big fan of really big guys. We had Kevin, we had Paul, and it's really hard creatively. We've touched on this before. Booking guys that are that big, because it's hard in a believable way to get sympathy on them. It's hard for them in a believable way to sell, unless you take a chainsaw to them or a bazooka. It's hard for them to be a good heel because it doesn't make any sense for a guy that big to be a chicken shit. It's not believable. Regardless, Calaway stayed with his biker character until 2004, when he reverted to his dead man persona, one he stayed up with until now. Number 8. Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy shocked the wrestling world when he turned heel on Brother Jeff, transforming into Matt Hardy version 2.0, who arrogantly boasted Matt facts with every ring entrance. As engaging as that character was, he returned to playing a babyface when he feuded with Edge over the real-life love triangle involving Matt's ex-girlfriend Lita. All this paled to Matt's incredible transformation in Impact Wrestling when he became Broken Matt Hardy, a wrestling character that words can't do justice. Broken Matt targeted his brother Jeff, vowing to delete him from wrestling. When Matt returned to the WWE, fans wondered if he'd adopted the highly successful Broken character, but an ongoing legal battle with Impact Wrestling kept him from using it. Months later, Hardy adopted the Woken Matt Hardy character, but has returned to the regular death-defying Matt character with no outstanding psychological issues. Number 9. Jeff Hardy. Brother Jeff worked as Willow and other characters in his and Matt's Omega promotion before entering the WWE, but it was as Jeff Hardy where he became a star, first teaming with Brother Matt and later in singles action where he won numerous singles championships, including the WWE Championship. While Jeff used the Willow character in TNA, it was his final deletion by Broken Matt Hardy that transformed into Brother Nero, Matt's troubled henchman. Matt and Jeff returned to the WWE at WrestleLamia 33, and while Matt's Broken character resurfaced, Brother Nero hasn't resurfaced just yet. And number 10. Kane. Glenn Jacobs could have entered the Gimmick Hall of Shame with the terrible characters saddled upon him during the first few years of his career, including Doomsday, Unabomb, and the Christmas Creature. As bad as these were, they paled in comparison to evil dentist Isaac Yankem and Jacobs' subsequent tenure as the Fake Diesel. Thankfully, the wrestling gods smiled upon Jacobs and he was repackaged as The Undertaker's twisted half-brother Kane. The masked monster has remained as Kane but undergone transformations such as removing his mask, then working as the Authority's corporate flunky Corporate Kane. Thankfully, Jacobs ditched the suit and tie to return to his character of the Big Red Machine Kane in the ring, but some may find it ironic that he's donned a suit and tie outside the ring to serve as mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. And number 11. John Cena. Although it may be too early to tell, John Cena appears to have reverted to his popular character of the Doctor of Thugonomics after years of playing family-friendly babyface John Cena. Cena's rap character helped him take him to the main event during the Ruthless Aggression era. but the WWE toned his act down as it went PG, and Cena's raps disappeared, as did his cutting-edge humour. Cena's appearance at WrestleMania 35 as the Doctor of Thugonomics has his original fans hoping it's a permanent situation. But there you have it guys, 11 wrestlers who went back to their original gimmicks. Are there any wrestlers currently working that you'd like to see transform back into their original characters? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.